How's it going, everyone? Jeff Johnson from the Gazette here. Next to my compatriots, K.J. Pilcher and Jeff Linder for a Week 5, almost. Week 5 edition of our Iowa Prep Sports Pick'ems. We've got 10 games we're going to look at and give our expert analysis on. For Friday night, there are some games. We're taping this on Thursday afternoon. There are some games being moved up to Thursday night because of the threat of some weather tomorrow night, Friday night. So, check the schedule, I guess, before you head out anywhere. I think there's 4 or 5 games from what I saw. Like Easton Valley, Springville, Belle Plaine, Mount Vernon, West Liberty, which KJ I think is going to be.
I will be in Mount Vernon.
West Branch as well against Bellevue.
Doubleheader over at Clinton.
That's right, at the Clinton Lumber Kings baseball stadium. So hopefully someone will shank a punt onto the Lumber Lounge in right field. That would be pretty cool. But anyway, we'll get right to it here. We've got, as I said, 10 games, and we're going to start out with Class 4A matchup between 7th-ranked Cedar Rapids Kennedy on the road at Davenport to take on Davenport West, Brady Street Stadium. Kennedy defeated Cedar Rapids Prairie 35-28 in a doozy last week that Jeff will tell you about here a little bit. He was there. West lost handily to Davenport North 42-0. The start of district play, Kennedy got a real big boost, Jeff, I guess, in its final non-district game by literally outlasting Cedar Rapids Prairie. Tell us what you saw a little bit and how you think this one's going to come out, Kennedy and West.
Well, I'll go with the second question first. I think Kennedy's going to win that one handily. As far as last week, Kennedy got down 14-0, 21-7. They're still down 21-7 at half. Went on a really long scoring march to begin the second half and got within a touchdown. And then after that, it was just kind of a series of long touchdown runs. Max White had one to tie it at 21. Karen Hendred had one to tie it at 28, and then another one to put Kennedy ahead for good.
Very explosive offense. Hendred's having a really, really fine year, Jeff. Do you guys feel like maybe the Cougars are where they want to be for the most part? Heading into district play here, I'll let both you guys answer that.
Yeah, I think so. I think that district's probably going to be a one-game show
Winner
as far as who's.
all.
I think so between
Bettendorf.
Kennedy and Bettendorf. I think Kennedy's going to get into the playoffs at 8-1 or 7-2. Might be a deal where the winner of that game hosts a first-round game. The other team might have to hit the road.
KJ, I assume you're taking the Cougars this week as well?
Yeah, they have a winning formula. I mean, there's nothing. There's no surprise with what they do. I mean, you're going to see it week in and week out. It's the run game and an aggressive defense. Mm-hmm. And it's worked for them. I mean, it really has. But when you talk about games like finishing off a Valley game or beating a team like Bettendorf, there's got to be some type of pass game. And right now it's worked for them. Obviously it worked for them with Prairie. They hung with Valley, but that's the difference between maybe beating Valley in finishing that game off compared to having it a competitive finish. So I think they need to improve. They've got to find some stability in a pass game. Even though right now, hey, we're going to do what we do best, and we're going to go where that takes us. And so far, it's taken them to a really good start and a win, I'm sure, this week over Davenport West, who's lost its last 2 games.
Are we in agreement that it's a 2-team race?
Yeah.
In that district?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to KJ's point, Kennedy has thrown for 228 yards in 4 games. So what's that, 55-ish yards a game. And no touchdown passes,
57.
4 interceptions.
Is it 57? I think I did that in my head.
Good job.
Did you? Okay. But yeah, I mean that goes back to your point that some sort of it's just a lot like last year's team in that it is very run heavy. And if it works, it works. That's great. It's worked so far. This is a good team, no question. And I think the Cougars certainly have more than enough to get past West and pretty handily. Let's go up now to the key city of Dubuque for our next game. Cedar Rapids Prairie at Dubuque Senior. Prairie is 2-2, and Senior is 3-1. Prairie, as we mentioned, lost to Kennedy last week, 35-28. Senior with a 23-21 victory over Iowa City West. I guess, guys, we could call the Rams maybe a little bit of a surprise here through 4 games. KJ, what do you think?
No.
No? Okay.
Just because I don't think they've really had a tough schedule. Washington isn't the same Washington team. Iowa City West isn't the same Iowa City West teams that we've seen. The Davenport Northland isn't a bad win. But I just think if you look at the schedules, even though Prairie's 2-2, it's a much stronger schedule when you look at those losses coming to Waukee and Kennedy the last 2 weeks. I still think Prairie's a much better team. They'll come away with a victory this weekend.
Jeff, Senior's loss was to Lindmar, by the way, in the opener, 27-20.
Right.
I'm going to take Prairie as well. I assume you are.
Same here, but I don't see a blowout. It just depends on how Prairie can defend the pass. Last week they tried to defend the run against Kennedy and struggled at times late. This week they're playing against a really potent passing game with Tommy Casey and Kendrick Watkins Hogue, and if they can shut that down, then Prairie ought to be in pretty good shape. I think Prairie's going to score quite a few points in this game too.
Let's head out to Lindmar, aforementioned Lindmar, for our next game. The Lions are 2-2 and will host Davenport North 3-1. North defeated Davenport West last week, as we mentioned, 42-0. Lindmar lost a toughie to Urbandale, 17-16. What do you think here, guys? We talked about this district maybe not being the strongest, certainly not being the strongest. Lindmar, City High West, Iowa City West, Pleasant Valley, and Muscatine. Pretty big game right out of the chute as far as I'm concerned.
It's not the strongest, and I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, you're
but
good.
I think it might be as competitive top to bottom as the district there is out there. Who do you think the team to beat in that district is?
I still say Pleasant Valley.
Is it still Pleasant Valley? Is it still West even at 0-4? Lindmar, you got to think they could be a factor in that. I think that North Lindmar game's a big game.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm going to go with Lindmar to win the game, but wouldn't really surprise me either way. And I think the winner of that game's and the other two winners in this reset week 1 in that district are, obviously have a leg up.
To me, this comes down to is Mr. Oregon a quarterback for Lindmar?
That's the biggest question, and I think I asked Paul James after the Jefferson win, which was the week before Urbandale, and he said probably one more week. Makes sense because now you're getting into district play where you need. He's such a key component in what he can do as a leader, throwing the ball, running the ball. And that's what this hinges on. I think Lindmar's defense, I tell you the truth, when they played against Cedar Rapids Jefferson, I was really impressed with their defense.
Yeah.
And I thought they moved from sideline to sideline pretty well and did a nice job. So I think defensively they're okay. Obviously they've given up 20 points to Senior and 46 to Kennedy, even though the Kennedy game, I think there was some special teams and even defense.
There were a couple bad snaps, and that was the game where Orr got hurt and everything just kind of fell off the rails for him.
So I think if Orr plays and if their defense continues to kind of improve, I don't see any reason why Linmar can't come away with a win at home here against North.
And this is an interesting thing. There's a number of sophomores that are starting for the Lions, and Clayton Bazinski was the leading tackler. As I look at the stats here last week against Urbandale, I thought he stood out in the Jefferson game. Was able to see some of that
Very much so.
as a fan 2 weeks ago. Jerron Centers is a nice player as a sophomore, so
He leads the state. He leads 4A in interceptions with 6.
there you go. So Linmar, this is something that we all wondered maybe how long it might take for Paul James to kind of build a program over there that could sustain some success, and maybe we're looking at the start of it. So I am going with the Lions here as well. By the way, it'll be a good game.
Kind of interesting about Clayton Mazinski. Have to ask Paul James. I know that's a second generation player. I always find those things kind of neat. His dad Chad played for PJ at Cedar Rapids, Washington. So kind of a neat deal there, being able to coach a second generation.
Maybe that just makes Paul feel old.
Should. He is old. If you want to break it down, Paul James is old.
KJ used to play for Paul, so there you go. Let's go down to Class 3A for our next game. At Manchester, Brownfield, West Delaware High School, 2-2. The Hawks are, as they go and host Class 3A number 5 Independence 4-0. Indy with an impressive 42-0 victory over Center Point Urbana last week, and West Delaware played second-ranked Cedar Rapids Xavier tough before falling 28-12. I think we all agree here that Indy's going to win this game. Who wants to start, Jeff? I'll throw it down to you. This is a pretty good football team up here.
This is a very good football team, and kind of slowly climbing up the polls. It's kind of hard for teams to get a lot of headway in 3A because the teams above them just keep winning. But I think quietly Independence is a really nice team. The schedule they've played so far isn't great. This will be the best team they've played so far, won't it?
Old Wine, South Tama, Maquoketa, and Center Point Urbana in that order. So
yeah. But Indy leads 3A in points scored and points allowed. They've been dominant. They've done what they've had to do. They did beat West Delaware last year at home, so I think maybe a little bit of the intimidation factor that hey, we never beat West Delaware. It isn't there anymore. I think they know they can win, and I think they'll go over to Manchester and take care of business.
KJ, you got to think that Indy is the favorite in this district when you look at it. West Delaware, Waterloo East, Charles City, Waverly's probably not as good as it was last year. Decorah is probably down maybe a little bit from last season, but you got to like the Mustangs in this district, right?
Yeah, right now, I mean, one-win teams are kind of the norm in that group. I mean, I don't think anybody is over 500 other than Independence right now through the first 4 weeks. I think this is going to come down to a clash of Indy's offense and West Delaware's defense. I think West Delaware's defense, I've been impressed with them when I've seen them. I know they gave up 28 or whatever to Xavier, but
that's not bad.
They've, I think that's what's going to keep them in the game, and they're going to have to try to force some turnovers. Logan Schmidt's been fantastic for Independence. I think he's got over 1,200 yards throwing and
I think he leads them in
rushing.
tackles too.
Does he really? So everything, he probably drives a bus. He'll drive the bus over to
make sandwiches for everybody for post-game.
Yeah, and maybe even do laundry as well. So, Independence. This would be a great way to kind of kick things off. And even though West Delaware is 2-2, this would be a great win for them if they could, start off district play with that and have a chance to run the table. I think whoever does win this game will run the table in their district.
Let's move down to Southeast Iowa for our next game. Washington, Iowa, to be specific.
Are we? I think we left one out. I think we left Xavier and Maquoketa out.
We'll get there.
Okay.
We'll get there.
All right.
Linear.
I don't think we'll have a lot to say about
Linder
that
is
anyway.
linear. You see what I did there?
Oh, I see.
He likes
I
to
see.
go right in order.
I'm just trying to keep. I'm trying to keep our producer Nathan Ford on his toes over there.
Okay. I'm just trying to keep him happy.
Keokuk at Washington, Iowa. Our next game. Keokuk 4-0. Seventh-ranked Demons are, I guess, officially 3-1 now. Keokuk defeated Centerville last week, 49-13. Washington, Iowa. And this is a story that we'll talk about. Obviously, was a 2-0 forfeit loser to West Liberty. West Liberty actually, or Washington actually won that game, 42-20. But it was discovered that it played a player that the school is saying for 3 plays that was actually ineligible to participate. After those 3 plays, it was discovered the kid was in the game. They the administration self-reported to the Iowa High School Athletic Association, and it's officially a forfeit loss for Washington. So unfortunate. Good on the Demons for reporting it. And now everybody moves on, I guess, and gets ready for district play. Is
Yeah.
that how you guys think this will work for them? No distractions.
I wouldn't think so. They did what they needed to do on the field, and I don't know what to think of Keokuk. They're 4-0, but I don't think it's a strong 4-0.
Davis County, Burlington, West Burlington, and Centerville.
There you go.
Wins.
I think Washington's going to win this game.
KJ?
Yeah, the positives that the forfeit wasn't district related.
Yeah.
I mean that's a positive, even though I think that affected Mount Vernon
Right.
when they had a self-report and forfeit a game, and that kind of altered kind of their standing later in the season. Hopefully for Washington, that doesn't factor in down the road. Yeah, hard to get a gauge on Keokuk considering who they've played. Washington, handled West Liberty, a nice win over Iowa City Liberty. Marion, Oskaloosa. I don't think they'll be bothered by the forfeit and the circumstances around that. They'll be focused, but I just want to say, we've seen this twice now, and was Mount Vernon just last year, or was it the year before?
Last year.
Okay, so 2 seasons we've seen this happen, and teams have self-reported. I know it might sound like, well, duh, what else are they going to do? But I think it shows character when they're willing to say, you know what, we screwed up. We're being accountable in a society where a lot of times accountability is absent. So kudos to the administration and the coaching staffs to show young men how to be accountable and own up to mistakes and then move forward and learn from it. And I don't see any reason why Washington isn't 4-1 after this.
I love Luke Turner as a player. I think you guys know I'm on the Luke Turner bandwagon. I don't know if the stats won't count or will they from the West Liberty game.
Yeah,
but,
they'll count.
okay, he had 203 yards passing, 204 yards rushing, 6 total touchdowns last week. So that kid is obviously makes that team go. And yeah, I agree with you guys. I don't think this will be just kind of a blip, at least in the immediate.
I would be
future for Washington.
I would be less worried about what happened last week and more worried about who's on their schedule next week. They got Solon next week.
Yeah.
And, I don't like the word trap game, but that might apply.
Hey, Washington is Luke Turner overdrive.
Oh, I like it.
You like it?
I like
Luke, Nobody in high school is going to understand that reference, but anyway.
All right, now we'll go to Saints Field for our next game before Linder gets apoplectic here. Maquoketa 2-2 at second-ranked Xavier Saints of Cedar Rapids 4-0. Maquoketa lost to Mount Vernon last week, 26-13. Xavier, as we mentioned, with a 28-12 win over West Delaware. Is there any reason you guys Is there any way that you guys see that Maquoketa is in this game once fourth quarter rolls around?
I just want to add this really quick. Apoplectic is overcome with anger and extremely indignant, which, if there's anybody out there like me, I had to Google what JJ just said. Maquoketa was a team that started out 2-0, and he thought, hey, maybe this is a team that's kind of getting back to form. Kind of going back to the year where they, I think, might have been 9-0 or 8-1, and made the playoffs.
I think that year they were undefeated going into Xavier and got pounded pretty good.
But they've kind of stumbled the last 2 weeks. Xavier with another good win against West Delaware last week. Maquoketa's handled by Independence 2 weeks ago, and then lost to Mount Vernon 26-13. I just don't see any reason why Xavier stumbles here on homecoming. I like the Saints, and probably in a big way.
Jeff, we got to keep this in mind here. Xavier keeps racking up the wins and has a pretty big addition coming at some point here. In University of Iowa recruit offensive lineman Josh Wolf.
Yeah, that'll help. That'll help a lot. And
he's injured, by the way, and hasn't been
right
quite yet to play. So.
Right. I think Xavier's going to be fine in this one.
Well, I'd be surprised if we saw Volk before Western Dubuque game, just out of safety, being cautious. But you never know. You might want to get him in there before.
Maybe next week.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see.
Let's crisscross back down to back down south here for our next game. We have a pair of 3-1 teams: Clear Creek and Manna at Iowa City Liberty. Liberty. Sorry. If you haven't been to a game down there, every first down that the Bolts get, they play, or the PA guy goes, and that's a first down for, and then they'll play the commercial clip. So ever since I was down there a couple of weeks ago, every time I see the word Liberty, it just pops into my head and I have to sing it. So anyway, Clear Creek and Manna 47-7 winner over Marion last weekend. Liberty over Mid-Prairie 33-6. A couple of results, I guess, that we both kind of anticipated. Again, a pretty darn big district opener here, guys. Who do you got?
Clear Creek's really bounced back nicely after that, what I still think was a really surprising loss to Mount Pleasant in week 1, and have been dynamite ever since. That said, I just think Liberty's awfully good, and I'm going to go that direction.
KJ?
I'm going with Liberty as well. I think you got two solid quarterbacks in Ryan Navarro from Clear Creek and Manna, and Drake Woody of Iowa City Liberty. I almost would give Liberty a little bit of an edge in the rush game. Max DeFolio, Caleb Williams, I think are a nice little 1-2 combo. I think they have 8 touchdowns combined here to go along with a decent pass game, and Woody spreads the ball a little bit. Ben Hoslag, Caleb Williams, his 2 leading targets, and I just like Liberty in probably a close game, and I'm excited. It'll be my first trip down to Liberty to cover any event, so welcome me with open arms.
And with the Liberty. Good popcorn, by the way, Pilcher.
That's what you said. And by the way, I want this known. I was addressed by some great people in Springfield. I did not take his dollar. Everybody saw that I did not go and get popcorn, so they think I pocketed your dollar. I did not take his dollar. I give it back to him after we got done shooting. I didn't have popcorn in Springville, not because I didn't want to go to the concession stand. I don't eat popcorn. I'm not going to have popcorn at Liberty either. I'll stop by and have a burger or whatever. But don't give me any money and people think I'm ripping you off right and left.
Okay, that's his story, and he's sticking to it. So,
Right.
I'm going to take Liberty as well. It's a team that's going to try and pound you offensively, with good running backs, and then Drake Woody has improved in the passing department. I think this will be a close game. It's going to be a good game, and I'm gonna take the Lightning here to win at home. Let's travel on down to Class 2A for our next game. It is a battle of top 10 teams. Number 1, Waukon at number 10, Monticello 4-0. Waukon over Cascade last week, 42-13. Monticello rallied and got a fourth quarter score to beat Maquoketa Valley by the count of 21-13. First off, I wrote a story for our Rewind in Sunday's paper in which Monticello coach Wes Wilson said that from what everybody down there could figure out, or over there could figure out, this was the first 4-0 start for Monticello since 1977. So I said, hey, that's a heck of an angle. Well, that's not true. 2001, the Panthers were 4-0. So
It's still a good angle.
yes, apologize for that, but yeah, it has been 18 years. And, Monty has just been able to win close game after close game after close game.
Mm-hmm.
And, finds itself with a lot of momentum going into district play. And, here comes number 1 walk-on. So where do you guys going with this one?
I'm going with Waukon to win, but what Monticello's done so far this year has been really impressive, and finding a way to win close games is worth something, especially if this one's close. All 4 of them have been by 8 or less, including one in overtime. Both teams have really good passing games. Jeff Carlson, over 1,100 yards. Creed Welch, we've talked about him a little bit, also over 1,000. I just think Waukon is a level above just about everybody in 2A, and if Monticello can be in the ball game, I think that's a pretty good accomplishment. Saying that they're going to have a nice remainder of the season.
KJ, if you believe in the compare the scores thing, Waukon beat Cascade 42-13 last week. Monticello beat Cascade 14-7. So, do you believe in the compare the score thing?
The transitive property of,
exactly.
of competition. I do and I don't. Depends on the sport sometimes, and sometimes in football it does apply. I think in this case it does, not just for that reason, but just because Waukon, I think, is the best team in 2A. Jeff brought up the fact that you have 2 really good pass games here. Monticello is 7th in 2A with over 1,100 yards and 10 touchdowns. Waukon is 9th in 2A, 1,040 and 13 scores. We know that Waukon has a really balanced attack. When you have the likes of Creed Welsh and Dawson Bowers. It's just that walk-on team is something special. They have a lot of sacks and tackles for loss as well. What Monticello has done has been great. I think this is just a different team. So we'll really see what Monticello is made of, but I think walk-on is.
Yes, and I just agree that I just think Waukon's a better team, and I think we'll win this game, but I just hope that it's a good game and it goes down to the fourth quarter, and a tight affair. So we always want the good games, but I'm going with Waukon here as well. Let's move down to Class 1A for our penultimate game of the week. It is Northland 4-0 at second-ranked Dyke New Hartford, also 4-0. Northland with a late defensive stop at the 1-yard line, as a matter of fact, to hold off Edgewood Colesburg. Edco is third-ranked in Class A. That scores 20-16. Dyke New Hartford shut out LaPorte City Union 36-0. District play for the Lynx, who have had a great start to the season, coming off a huge win over Edco. Oh yeah, here's a great team from Dyke, New Hartford. Have at 'em, boys. Can the Lynx hang here?
Boy,
Hang and win, I think, are two different things. I think they can. I think they play good enough defense to keep them in the game. Maybe they can have some long drives to eat clock, or maybe get some points and give themselves a chance. Dyke just doesn't give anything up. They've given up 7 points in 4 games, and they've got some really good skill guys. And I think Dyke New Hartford is a 1A championship threat, and I think Northland's a very nice team, but championship threat something else. And I think Dyke New Hartford wins by 2-3 touchdowns.
KJ, we you know a couple of these names. Northland, Austin Miller's done a very nice job as a quarterback. Austin Hilmer is probably the top receiver that the Lynx have. Brennan Becker's a nice running back. It's just kids that you hear from the different sports over there that continue to excel in other sports.
well, they're great. They're great athletes.
Yeah.
They're great athletes, and being a multi-sport contributor is something that's preached there. It's something that they put a lot of pride in. That these kids are, contribute to the community as a whole. They don't specialize in stuff, and you're seeing that. And there's something to be said for athleticism for one, but competitiveness. And it can, and that transfers over. But I went to Dyke New Hartford for a semester in high school.
You did?
No, I didn't. I just
Okay.
made that up.
Well, it sounded like a good story. I bought it.
But anyway, I'm going to go with Dyke New Hartford. It just, last week was a defining win for Northland, but now the ante's upped a little bit here. With a district that's really tough with Dyke New Hartford and Regina. And of course, Northland is right there with them. I just don't know if they're at that level yet. I'll go with Dyke New Hartford, and not to mention, as many times as I've jinxed Northland baseball over the years, I think Column's okay with me picking against Northland, especially after Parker picked against them last week. So, going with Dyke New Hartford.
I was gonna pick Northland or Dyke New Hartford, and then I found out you went there for a semester, and no, actually, I'm going with Dyke New Hartford. Yeah, just as Jeff Linder said, I mean that's just a ball club that has legit aspirations of getting to the Dome and playing in the championship game. No question about that. So. Let's go to our final game. It is Class A, and it is number 5 ranked Wapsie Valley at South Winneshiek. Both teams are 3-1. Wapsie whitewashed Green Mountain Garwin, 50-0 last week, and South Winneshiek shut out Starmont 43-0. So pretty good district here, and a nice way to open it with two pretty even teams, right, guys?
Actually, this is a non-district game.
This is a non-district game.
Yeah. Wapsie's in, I think both teams are in 17 districts, so everybody has to take a week off.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much.
Yeah, but Wapsie's in that district with North Tama and Grundy and Hudson and East Buck, and now they got to go.
Grinder.
Yeah, and now they got to go play a non-district game against South Win. That's tough. South Wind's in the same district as St. Ansgar, which is really good. I don't know if there's anybody else that's really strong. Is MFL in that one?
No.
Mason and Central Springs.
All right. I see a really, really good game, and I don't know why, but I'm going to go with Wapsie.
KJ?
I went with Wapsie. It's not going to surprise me, actually, if Southwind comes away with a victory here. They've played very, very well since their opening loss to MFL Marmac, which I think has kind of made what MFL Marmac has done even more impressive. Yes. I know you had something on their start up there after they beat Southwind in the opening week. Southwind quarterback Jacob Harold has thrown for 1,146 yards and 13 touchdowns. Since that loss to MFL, he's third in the state in total pass yards with 1,403 overall, and that's all classes, and that includes 8-man as well. I think there's somebody from Woodbine, and I can't remember the person that's the other person that's in front of Harold, but he's played lights out. He's got 3 receivers. Noah Teesketter, 19 catches for 454 yards, 5 TDs. Then you've got Kale Kowalczyk, 35 catches for 432 yards and 3 TDs. And then you have Carter Wenthold, 18 catches, 356 yards and 7 TDs. So you've got 3 different guys that lead you in receptions, another one that leads you in yardage, and another one that leads you in touchdown catches. He's spreading the ball really well. Wapsie might be the best defense they've faced so far. Usually it kind of err on the side of defenses being the difference, and I'll go with Wapsie in a close game.
Southwind. Going with Southwind. I'm going to be the.
That's a good pick.
The outlier here, I guess, since I think we agreed on every game except for this one. So we're getting kind of boring, I guess.
Yeah.
We all have the same thoughts, which is scary as hell to me. But yeah, going with South Winneshiek in what should be a good game, and yeah, I Mr. Harold, I like him as a quarterback. I think they'll be able to move the football. So, all right, tomorrow night. Actually, tonight, at KJ Pilcher on Twitter, you have, again, Mount Vernon and West Liberty tonight?
West Liberty at Mount Vernon.
Okay.
Yep.
And then what about tomorrow night?
I am going to be at the 3A game in, North Liberty with Clear Creek Amana without a hyphen. Even though it comes up with a hyphen on Quick Stacks, do you know?
Association has it with a hyphen. I think the Girls
I think
Union
Northland
has
its missing hyphen. It just hasn't given it to Clear Creek Amana yet.
Okay.
That's my thought.
Gotcha.
That needs to happen.
But I will be at Clear Creek Amana at Iowa City Liberty.
At JT Linder, Jeff, where are you going to be tomorrow night?
I will be at Dean Nelson Field in Monticello for Walk-On in Monticello.
At thegazette.com, we got a ton of games to cover. I'm begging out tomorrow night because I've got lead football duty Saturday morning, bright and early at 11 for Iowa. But at thegazette.com, we got a running scoreboard. We'll have tons of reporters out there to catch you up on everything that goes on high school football-wise on what will hopefully be a dry-ish, and lightning-free Friday night. So, for KJ...
Except for me, I'll be covering the Lightning.
Ooh, that's right. That's a great point. Wow, you just blew my mind there. For Jeff and KJ.
Does that make you
Jeff.
apoplectic or whatever that is?
Thank you, Nathan, once again. This was Week 5 edition of the Iowa Prep Sports Pick'ems podcast. We'll see you next week.
Keep your head on a swivel.